All right, my friends. All right, this is the Prof here with another video about gaming with my daughter. This is a video about Windwaker specifically. My daughter had a fun time playing with my amiibo, and she really latched on to my amiibo regarding the Legend of Zelda series, specifically Baby Link. She calls it Baby Link, it's Toon Link obviously, but she made a lot of games, a lot of shows with the amiibo, and Baby Link tended to star in those shows. And one day I was sitting down with the Wii U, and I asked her if she wanted to see the game that Baby Link played in. And she said yeah, and I figured it'd be just a couple minutes. It's kind of cartoony, I thought she might enjoy it. And as soon as it turned on, she was really latched on to Baby Link as a character in the game. And the way that it starts out, you know, there's the kind of pictures and the story, and I was reading that to her. But once we get to Outset Island and Baby Link is there with his sister Errol, my daughter was immediately asking questions about Errol, about their family. Where's their mommy and daddy? Where's the extended family? And then all of a sudden the bird comes flying through the sky and drops a package or body or something into the forest up above in the cliffs above Outset Island. And my daughter was just in that moment hooked. She was like, what is that? Who was that? I knew it was Tetra, who was dropped in the forest, but I told her it looked like it was a girl that was being carried by a bird, and it got dropped in the forest. And that was the moment where she was hooked. It was obviously narrative, wanting to know what happens next. Why did that happen? There was a million questions about the forest. What is that forest? How do we get up there? Who was that girl? Who was that bird? Where did that bird come from? And it's just so much story built in there that these questions obviously were the same kind of questions she asks about books. We're invested in a lot of book series. She's 3 right now. We're reading through the Magic Treehouse books, and she is play acting those books as well. This is not an epiphany. This happens all the time with narrative, with stories, with children. But the layers of play that the Legend of Zelda Wind Waker added to her repertoire of moves, of play acting moves, of pretend play moves was staggering. And that whole sequence where we climb up the hill, try to get past I think it's like a post or something on the path, climb up the mountain to get in the mountain and find the girl in the tree, ends up being Tetra. That whole sequence, once we finished it, we just play acted it again and again and again. She wanted to be Tetra, she wanted to be Baby Link, she wanted to be Errol. She would play act that story from all the different perspectives. In a way, I think trying to understand who those characters were, why they were who they were, what their motivations were. A lot of stuff that I think you talk about in acting school or something like that. And she wasn't operating at that level, but she was doing those things. She was really trying to get in and answer her questions. Why did that happen? What is this place? Who is this? What's going to happen next? By living in those characters. She became those characters, and then that helped her answer some of those questions. And I mean, kids at this age, repetition is key, right? Habit is key. So initially she just wanted to watch that same sequence over and over and again. Instead, I just continued with the story, and she saw new story pieces, new building blocks that kind of built on that first one, just to have that puzzle. Like, how do I get to the forest? How do I help this girl? A lot of it was devoid of battling. It's not about fighting, and that happened later, and that was something that we had to address later, and I'll talk about that in a future video. But the beginning of the game was so great because it's just so question rich. How do I get past this part of the path? How do I get into the forest? How do I find that girl? Who is that girl? It just provided a lot of questions that she was desperate to answer. And it really, I think we started playing it in April. We finished it last month. We played in, like I said in the previous video, half-an-hour bursts every day or every other day. How do I do these things? And these questions build up over time and just, I wouldn't say consumed, because there are lots of other things we were doing as well, but they were definitely a prevalent part of our life for those months. And it really helped with the beginning part of this pandemic, because she was able to have her mind on something else. I was able to have my mind on something else. We were able to have our mind on something else. And we were able to talk about these characters as if they're real characters, which is nice too. Since then we've got, obviously we had the amiibo then, but since then we have a stuffed Baby Link from a friend, got a stuffed Toadette from the Captain Toad game that she loves too, and that'll be another future video as well. So all of those things became, or are right now, her friends, make-believe friends we're building out of paper and laminating, or friends that we've purchased. or the Amiibo friends. Like, she talks to them, she has conversations with them, she role plays with them, she builds stories with them, and it's filling in a bit where she's not able to see her friends right now, and it's really hard for her to access her friends through the screen. She's getting a little better about that, but it's really, she expresses sadness, and it reminds her of what she's missing, because we are so locked down and we're not able to, there aren't really families around us who are as locked down as we are. So she's home with us or with her grandparents a lot. And it kind of brings up the question of, you know, are we doing the right thing by having so much pretend play and so many pretend friends and make-believe friends and make-believe stories? But then I just like cast back to my childhood, and I'm definitely not a model adult in terms of like what's come after childhood. So who knows if this is great or not? But as a child, those were my friends too. I play acted, I pretend played, I had imaginary friends, I had my stuffed animals that were my friends, and I built tons of stories out of them. And that's the same thing that she's doing right now. She's building these stories with these characters and just it's like creating an army of friends for herself. And I think it is filling in the sadness for not having friends right now. And she's doing that not just with video game characters, she's doing it with book characters. We've read Charlotte's Web during this time about probably 60 times, no joke. We've read that book like cover to cover or through audiobook 60 times, watched the movie about 15 times. So she identifies with Fern, she identifies with Wilbur and Templeton, and then Baby Link and Errol and Tetra and Princess Zelda. The King of Red Lions is her favorite. There's so much fictional characters that she's pulling into her lives to kind of fill in that void that I wonder if it would be that strong if she had physical friends around her as well. It may be, may not. She's 3. Make-believe is a huge component of life, but she would be in school right now. She's been in school since she was a year and a half, and to be pulled out of school and pulled away from the friends that you were with has some effect, and I think it is, I know it is sad for her because she expresses that. I'm thankful for Baby Link. I'm thankful for having the experience of starting Windwaker and then having those questions, those puzzles to kind of pull us through every day. It just makes every day exciting to have things to look forward to. The next section of the game, new answers to questions. And when we get an answer to a question, we immediately get another question. So it's always, and then what happened? What next? What next? You know, that's what good fiction is. That's what good storytelling is. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about the specific issue of when we moved past the puzzles and the questions into specific battling, and how the battling caused issues with my daughter in terms of wanting to battle, wanting to fight, and how we address that, and you know how that's a normal part of, you know, observing media and trying to emulate what you see. All right, thanks so much for listening. See you later.